One is what's working. Know what's working, what's not working. Things that are working, let's maintain them. Second one is where things aren't working. Maybe there's a reorientation of mature systems to better face the realities of wildfire. And then the third would be looking at things that aren't working and making more significant changes. So kind of evolution versus revolution. So the second would be a reorientation, an evolution, and the third would be more the revolution. So what's working? Well, so far we've identified three main systems that are working. Number one is the militia system of the way that we conduct wildfire. We actually have effective firefighting capabilities. We just don't have the right capacity to meet the volume. The second one is we have a one-of-a-kind insurance policy that we think actually fits very well within our financial strategy. And then finally, the BLM contract, as we talked about this morning, if we didn't have that contract with BLM, we would want that contract. Because of the interspersed ownerships, it really just provides economies of scale for all involved. The second group, which is more the evolution, this is kind of reorienting some existing systems, mature systems. We've spent a lot of time on health. We've spent a lot of time on emergency response and disaster recovery. This morning we heard about how we really need to evolve our public education, reaching out to better implement the cohesive strategy. And then finally, we need good information, and OSU is the natural place to really be a clearinghouse of solid science to advance strategies in the years ahead. Well, now we get to the revolution, the more significant changes that are really surfacing from the Council's work. First is really looking at a public-private partnership that's needed to carry out landscape-level mitigation, a multi-billion-dollar, multi-decade initiative that will involve significant state investment, commensurate federal investment, and a very active role in the private sector. I mean, the estimates that we hear, this could be $4 billion in terms of just total costs, and so it is obviously larger than any one entity. This is going to take the collective power of public-private partnership. Second one, leveraging land use tools. I wish you could have joined us this morning. It was actually one of the very best discussions we had. I want to say thanks to Russ Hoflick and John Audley and Mayor Russell for organizing a fantastic discussion, Sadie Carney for staffing, and many others. It was a really, really robust discussion, and I think it really starts to elevate for this council and for the state just how important our land use tools are. I think we would all agree that Oregon's in a much better place than we would have been if we didn't have this extensive land use system. We need to leverage the land use system, and we really need to look at pretty significant policies in defensible space and in hardening homes. And then finally, the final part of the expansion is suppression. It just stands to reason in an era of climate change, in an era of fuel buildup, in an era of population growth, and in an era of increased wildfire activity, and specifically undesired wildfire activity, we're going to have to spend more resources suppressing fire. There is a hope that there being a correlation between wildfire and suppression, between fuel loads and suppression, that over time, as we invest more heavily in mitigation, both within the WUI and at the landscape level, that we can see our suppression costs decline. We actually had a very promising discussion here this morning about maybe the effectiveness of those land use planning tools can bring some real cost savings for us. So that's really where we are right now, Governor. It's been an extraordinarily robust effort. And in terms of what's next, I think we have started to really identify what needs to be done. And now we need to really start putting a sharper pencil on how to do it. So between now and the November legislative days, our goal is to develop detailed recommendations, looking at options and honing in on the appropriate options, setting priorities, and looking at funding strategies.